This attack was experimental robot policemen called Sentinels.
Pow, and welcome back to the channel, Dan Who Reviews. As always, my name is Dan W. Make sure you are following me on Instagram at It's Dan Who, and let's talk about it. The Marvel Legends X-Men 97 Sentinel that was just revealed at New York Comic Con. Just one reveal for the event. A few people were initially disappointed about that, but don't you worry. Let me remind you, there are more places for Marvel Legend reveals before the month is over, as next weekend is MCM Comic Con in London, where Hasbro will be attending, and there will be reveals. I'll be there reporting on it. Don't you worry about it. We also have 10/27, the Hasbro Pulse Premium event next Sunday as well. So more reveals incoming. Hasbro wanted all the attention on the Sentinel, and rightly so, for New York Comic Con, as it was the headline of the brand panel event on Friday night, which included things like the Ghostbusters HasLab, which looks epic as well. But the Sentinel stole the show, and rightly so, as they've been teasing a second chance at something for a long time. And who out there thought it'd be Mephisto? What idiots. It was, of course, the Sentinel, obviously. We all knew that, really, didn't we? Now, a lot of us thought we'd get a repainted HasLab, which is what confused me. I was like, repainting the HasLab wouldn't be accurate. Like, that's not what we want. We'd need a new design. And that's exactly what they did. So they didn't disappoint. My initial reactions were very positive. And if you want to hear my initial recap and reactions, I did a live stream last night with Rich. Even Brandon joined us from the streets of New York. So go and check that out on the live stream video tab on the channel if you want long form content. I just thought I'd do a quick video today and give you my quick sort of condensed thoughts, as now they've actually displayed the prototype this morning at New York Comic Con. Hasbro had a breakfast event where they invited all the influencers to come and check out some of the reveals, including the Sentinel, which look great on display and give us a much better sense of scale compared to the figures. Because I thought if they're going to do an X-Men Sentinel, it's probably going to be like Titan size or even Marvel Universe size. But no. This is 22 inches, which is impressive. Now, let's remember the HasLab that sat behind me is 26 inches. So this is 22.2 inches, this new Sentinel. And if I put that next to the HasLab, you can see it's going to come up to about the shoulder, which you can agree is pretty impressive for a Marvel Legend release. And again, remember, this isn't a HasLab, it's a pre-order. If you want it, you pre-order it. So simple. But does it take any shine away from the current Marvel Legend HasLab Sentinel? Maybe that's up for discussion, of course. It is still currently the most expensive Marvel Legend on the aftermarket. It was the first HasLab, of course, and a lot of people wanted a Sentinel in their display. But are people now going to be very content and happy to add this X-Men 97 design Sentinel to their display? Because let's be honest, my gateway drug to all things Marvel, I tell you this all the time, were the animated shows in the 90s. The X-Men animated show and the Spider-Man animated show introduced me to the world of Marvel, and that's what gives me the nostalgic feels right now. They are the reason I am currently collecting and world building this Marvel universe in plastic on my shelf. So if I close my eyes and think about a character, my mind's eye are the looks from those shows, especially that Jim Lee art for the X-Men. And this is a Jim Lee Sentinel, as the animated show was inspired by Jim Lee's art in the comics in the 90s. So I think a lot of people are going to really prefer this design for the Sentinel. Now, again, this HasLab is still an epic looking Sentinel. It's a lot more mechanical, based on designs in the current modern comics. It's a big chunky, a lot more intricate in design. Of course, it still has the lights and the electronics that this other one won't. So there are still differences from this one to the HasLab. But again, it just gives us options. I try and explain this all the time, people. There are no rules to collecting. You don't have to buy everything. You don't have to buy certain things. You build your own rules. You build your own display. No two displays are the same, and that's what makes this hobby so great. So this just gives you options. If you don't have the HasLab and you want some Sentinels, now you've got an opportunity to buy these, because no one can dispute these are not screen accurate, based off not just X-Men 97, but also what we've seen in the 90s. So again, this also has that nostalgic feeling attached to it as well. And you know, when nostalgic is attached to it, I spend more money. Now let's take a look at the design. They showed it off this morning. It's very clean looking. It is completely pinless. It has articulation, double jointed knees and elbows. Of course, it has a ball joint at the waist. I'm assuming there's a a pivot on the feet, but again, hard to tell from these pictures. The head will still have decent rotation, I suppose. Again, is it going to have enough articulation to display a robotic Sentinel? Yes, of course it will. The Sentinels themselves are quite rigid in design anyway. So does this need Spider-Man levels of articulation? No, of course it doesn't. As long as he stands there firmly and he hasn't got floppy knee syndrome, I think people are going to be happy with this. In regards to accessories, you can see that it comes with 2 face plates, 1 battle damage, 1 not. Same with the helmet, 1 battle damage, 1 not. We also get an interchangeable sort of chest piece, but it has 3 display options, as you could just remove both of them, and that's how they displayed it at the breakfast this morning with just that red middle. So there are 3 different options for the chest, which is only going to help when it comes to army building. You've got different alternatives and combinations now, so they look a little bit unique when posed together. You also get the 2 blast effects that port into the hands. An interesting fact, Dan Yoon did confirm that the actual tentacles from the HasLab Sentinel do work with this Sentinel. So if you do have the previous one, you have those accessories to give you even more play and display options for the X-Men 97 Sentinel, which is only a good thing. Again, it's an army builder, so via my own rules, I'm going to need at least 2 of these to sort of represent that it's an army builder, not a singular character in my display. So I need at least 2, but again, the limit is 3 in the UK, so do I just go the whole hog? Maybe. Now, again, let's talk about the price. £185.99p. Is that an expensive toy? Yes, absolutely it is. What world isn't that an expensive toy? First world problems when we've got to make these decisions. But you're all adults. You can make your own financial decisions. But remember, this isn't a HasLab. It doesn't matter how many other people have pre-ordered it. If you want it, you pre-order it within the window. Now, Hasbro have given us 40 plus days. I think it's November 26th. If that date is wrong, I'll put it on the screen. But I think it's November 26th. You have to order this, and if you want it, you pre-order it, and then you get it next year, and you get charged when it ships. So you can pre-order this now within the window. Make sure you've got your Sentinel order locked in, and then you've got a whole year to figure out how you're going to pay for these things, because again, it's a collector mentality, isn't it? We're always excited about the next thing. So yeah, just like Dragon Man, if you want it, you pre-order it, and then you'll get it next year, but you'll also pay for it when it ships. In the UK, it says September. In the US, I think it said October. So again, those are just estimated dates. I'm sure that will change anyway, but it's still a long time before it arrives, nearly a full calendar year. So again, if you want it, go and get it. Do I wish it was cheaper? Yes, of course I do. But if it was going to be cheaper, would they have made it smaller? And I'm quite happy with the scale it's at now. So if I had to make that choice myself, oh, you could have it under 100 quid, but it would only be Marvel Universe size. I would have probably be disappointed with that, because it wouldn't fit as well as in the collection as this one is going to. As from the pictures on display today, and shout out all the content creators that are there at the event taking these pictures, and I'm just sat at home stealing them. I'm very aware of that. So shout out all the content creators. Shout out Brandon, who sent me some pictures as well from the actual Pop Insider booth that they're displaying the Sentinel at as well, with some of the X-Men 97 figures. So yeah, what can I say? I'm in on this, and I do think a lot of the community out there are going to agree that this is their mind's eye of the Sentinel. They actually prefer this design for the Sentinel, and they are now just going to skip the HasLab altogether. I reckon some people are going to sell their HasLab to fund a couple of these. Now again, that's absolutely fine. You create your own rules, but there's no right or wrong answer. Do whatever the hell you want. Again, you're an adult here. You create the rules. Again, I'm thinking too, maybe going for that 3rd if the limit is 3. In the US, there's no limit. You guys can go absolutely insane, and I have no doubts that some people out there with deep pockets will go insane, because even the Hasbro pictures they're showing off, there's like 6 Sentinels battling the X-Men, and that looks great as well. So yeah, what can I say? I genuinely, based on just the actual product here, not worrying about the price and all of that, let's just look at the product. Is it a solid representation of what it's supposed to be? Yes, it absolutely is. Is it going to work in the grand Marvel Legends world? Is it going to fit aesthetically into our current collection? Yes, absolutely. Is it going to have enough articulation for a Sentinel pose on the display? Yes, of course it is. It can hold a Marvel Legend in its hand, as it has the same sort of hand articulation as Giant Man. Him and Giant Man are going to be able to stare each other face to face and have fisticuffs. They're that big. So yeah, again, what can I say? I like this thing, but again, you're talking to the target audience here. I don't know if you've noticed the display behind me, but again, you let me know what you think. You may dislike it. You may think it's too expensive, and that's absolutely fine. Let me know in the comments below. I'm genuinely always curious to hear your thoughts. If you're in on this, are you in for just one? Are you getting two? Again, let me know. Does this put you off the HasLab Sentinel now? Again, I do think there's enough of a difference to make sure that they both have their own sort of shine. But again, everyone's going to have their own preference, and that's okay. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. But that's what I think. So if you like Marvel Legend news and reveals and all of that good stuff, then trust me, people, you are in the right place. And it's going to be a busy month. So make sure you please hit that subscribe button. Hit all in the notification bell. Don't miss out on a video. And please hit that join button. Become a channel member. Either show some love or join the members club. Much appreciated. You can join me on a live stream if you wish. Remember, support the channel. You get to be on the channel. It is so simple. Come and chop it up and talk some toys. Legends and Liquor tomorrow. You'll hear what everyone else thinks about this. And of course, you can follow me on Instagram at It's Dan Who. I'm on Twitter at Dan Who Reviews. And I will, of course, see you on the next one.